Hey all, welcome back to the channel, welcome to Monday, welcome to Countdown Day, and this one is a bit of a fun one. It is the top 10 catchphrases in Transformers. Anybody who knows any franchise realizes that everything has a catchphrase. You know, from The Rock saying, "If you smell what The Rock is cooking," to Captain Picard saying, you know, "Engage," or "Tea, Earl Grey hot." It's those lines that either identify a franchise immediately, identify a brand immediately, or identify a character immediately. Sometimes they have been said over and over, often, many times, by many characters. Sometimes they've only been said once or twice by a particular character, but have really become their linchpin, have really become their calling card, and when you hear it, you know it. So, fans voted. We amassed hundreds of them, and there were some excellent selections for sure. Who made the top? Who made the top 10? Well, we're about to find out, because the top 10 catchphrases, that's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you're at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below, and also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is the top 10 catchphrases within Transformers. And this was a fun one. Some of these catchphrases identify the brand or Transformers as a whole. Some of these are character specific, but I think you'll know them when you hear them. And to be fair, the one that I thought was probably going to take number one, if not number two, doesn't appear on the list and isn't an honorable mention. So once we've gotten through everything, I'll make sure to mention the one that I thought was going to take the whole shebang. Our honorable mentions, we only have one this time. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. I think we most commonly associate that with Optimus Prime, especially the Bayverse Optimus Prime, though it has been used now by many characters many times over, and really is something that gets identified with the Autobots and kind of what they fight for, right? They fight for the freedom of all sentient beings, right? So I think it gets identified with Optimus, but it certainly is something that's been said a lot of times, and I think it's really identified with the live action movie universe. That might be debatable, but that's the honorable mention. Didn't make the final list, though it was really close, because I'm going to tell you now, everything on the list, the voting was super duper close for. Like, the difference between number one and number two is 5 votes. That's how close everything was. It could have gone either way. When I was counting these up, different ones of these at different points was the number one. Honestly, several, at least within the top 3 or 4, could have taken the top spot. You know what we're going to do, though? We're going to have some fun, and we're going to kick things off with number 10 of First. Now, coming in at number 10, we have an example of a catchphrase that is very identifiable with a particular character. Here's the phrase: "I've got better things to do tonight than die." And of course, it relates to Springer. As we all know, a lot of people will describe Springer as sarcastic, and they'll point to this as a sarcastic line. A lot of people will point to Springer as cool and calm under pressure, and they'll point to this line because there was a lot of pressure during that Decepticon attack. And you know what? Though he was kind of taking it sarcastically and knew the seriousness of the situation, he still managed to bring a little bit of levity to it in his own Springer way. He tends to be a bit brash and a bit brutally honest, I suppose, and that comes out here because he does have better things to do tonight than die. It is quintessentially Springer. Of all of the character traits that we relate with Springer, they can all tie back to this phrase, and that's why it's one of the top 10 catchphrases. That's why it identifies Springer, and that's why it took the number 10 slot. Number 9 is another catchphrase that's related to a specific character. This one takes us to Beast Wars, and for the royalty, of course, related to Beast Wars Inferno. Yeah, for the royalty is kind of not only his calling card, but it's also very much his like call to action. How often was he going into battle or doing something for the Predacons and would say for the royalty as like his battle cry? To be fair, a lot of people also said things like my queen for the royalty, and I think my queen, or yes my queen, something like that, which also got some votes, is also very identifiable for this guy. Any of those variations did not come close to making it on the list, though I think they very much identify this guy. By a wide margin, for the royalty is the catchphrase. Like, I think he has a few catchphrases, but I think for the royalty is the catchphrase that anyone who's a fan of Beast Wars knows for this guy. And it's often that call to action. It's his announcement that he's there. And to be fair, he's very formidable. So when you hear for the royalty, you better start running. Yeah, for the royalty took the number 9 slot. So at number 10, we were in G1. At number 9, we were in Beast Wars. How about we go to Transformers Prime with this oldie but this goodie? I needed that. Of course, I'm talking about Ratchet, Prime Ratchet specifically. This is my custom Beast Hunters Prime Ratchet. You know, usually it was Bulkhead, I needed that. But sometimes it was somebody else. Sometimes it was Bumblebee. Sometimes it was, you know, Jack. Sometimes it was Miko. But usually it was Bulkhead. I needed that. And most of the votes that came in did add Bulkhead to it. But some didn't, because some said, well, he used to utter that numerous times. And though it was most commonly associated with Bulkhead, it wasn't exclusively associated with Bulkhead. But it is pretty exclusively associated with Transformers Prime Ratchet. And for that reason, it took the number 8 slot. Okay, so number 7 is a bit of a weird one because of the way voters approached it. And it's Soundwave Superior, something inferior. Take your pick. Autobots inferior, Constructicons inferior, Starscream inferior. It's a line that's rarely uttered, but absolutely, obviously associated with Soundwave. But it has been uttered by numerous iterations of Soundwave from G1 all the way to Transformers Prime, for example. And I'm pretty sure in G1 it was Soundwave Superior, Constructicons inferior while they were aboard Astro Train, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, that's quickly followed by the nobody call Soundwave unchrasmatic, which I think was Rumble or Frenzy. That line didn't get enough votes to rank, but the Soundwave Superior, something or other inferior, absolutely did. And for that reason, across all fictions with Soundwave, that weird line with a blank in it takes the number 7 slot. Now, number 6 is another catchphrase clearly associated with a particular character because it's me Grimlock, no bozo, me King, or me Grimlock King, or me Grimlock, no kisser, me King. Basically, any of the variations of me Grimlock, not something, me Grimlock King. You know, obviously, certainly it's been said in G1. Certainly it was said in the comics and in the cartoon. I'm pretty sure it's been said numerous times in other fiction as well, because Grimlock, you know, as kind of rough around the edges as Grimlock is, he's pretty confident that he's a king. I get it, and I like it. I was unsure how to exactly count these, so most of the variations on me Grimlock no bozo or whatever, me King, any of those variations I kind of lumped together. There were some other Grimlock ones. In fact, you could have just said me Grimlock, right? Me comma Grimlock could be a catchphrase because he always announces himself. I think Grimlock is one of those characters that just because of his natural speech patterns has a ton of catchphrases. And I think it's great because it helps to flesh out his character and makes him one of the most beloved in all of Transformers. Me Grimlock King, some variation thereof, took the number 6 slot. And now a hush falls over the crowd because we're at the most coveted of locations, the ever popular halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, we go all the way back to Beast Wars once again, and we're all gonna die. Of course, said by the ever pessimistic Rat Trap. Yeah, Rat Trap, the ever the pessimist, right? I mean, yeah, what are you gonna say? A lot of times it's followed up by a chorus of people saying like, "Shut up, Rat Trap," because nobody wants to hear that, especially when you're going into a dangerous situation. But we all know that when we hear, "We're all gonna die," we know that it's said with that particular accent, it's said with that particular squeak, and it's said by that particular character. It's Rat Trap's catchphrase, no doubt about it. And for that reason, it takes the number 5 slot. Now, coming in at number 4, we have a very excellent catchphrase that I think is something that more applies to the franchise as a whole. Even though it's been said by innumerable characters across multiple iterations of the franchise, but it seems to always be kind of a thematic idea. And it's "Till all are one." Said, of course, by Optimus Prime, Ultra Magnus, Rodimus Prime. This was just an excuse to take this Rodimus Prime out. It's so amazing to me. As much as I'm not a fan of the Hot Rod, I love this thing. But Primus, it's been said by Primus, and there have been variations on it, like in GotBot's "Till all are fun." We've had the Decepticon saying "Till all are gone," or "Till all are dead." We've had the Shattered Glass one saying "Till all are gone." There's been a lot of variations on it, but it's so all-encompassing because the whole idea of "Till all are one," said in the '86 movie, said when Optimus is passing on the Matrix, it's all about working to that day when the war is done, when peace is restored, and all are one. It's a nice dream to work toward. It's a nice theme to work toward, and it's a great catchphrase for the entire Transformers franchise. And it took the number 4 slot. And here we are in the top 3, and at number 3 we have what I kind of see as the Transformers answer to something like, "Oh, for the love of God," or "Good grief," or "This is awful, but I'm sarcastically going to say something to make it seem like it's not as awful." With the classic line, "Well, that's just Prime." Really popularized by Optimus Primal. Though, to be fair, it's been said lots and lots of times, certainly since then, by lots and lots of characters across a lot of the franchise. I would definitely say most popularized by Primal, but certainly said by others. But that's just Prime. Like, we knew when Optimus Primal said it, or now when anybody says it, like, yeah, the situation is actually bad, or something annoying has happened, and you're like, well, ain't that just, yeah, that's just great, or ain't that a kick in the teeth? Well, their version of that is, ain't that just Prime, right? Or, well, that's just Prime. Or, that's just Prime. The votes were really for the, well, comma, that's just Prime. Yeah, I get it. It's one that as soon as you hear it, you know it. You know the intonation of it. You know what it's supposed to mean. And I'm willing to guess most, maybe not all, but most folks, when they hear it, immediately thought of Optimus Primal, at least first. Who they thought of second, that's wide open. It's a popular line in popular fiction. Well, that's just Prime took the number 3 slot. And at number 2, a catchphrase is identifiable to a character, possibly an era, when it's so powerful that it can be encapsulated in one word. That word? Yes. Which, of course, we all know brings us right back to Beast Wars and Beast Wars Megatron. Yes. Even then, I had to say it. And, of course, whenever we say it, we all try to do some sort of an emulation, even if a loose one, of David K. Because he made that one word, that one mannerism of speech iconic. When you hear it as a Transformers fan, you immediately think Beast Wars Megatron. I would even say, though I have the Dragon Boy here just because I really like him, I would even say it's most identified with the first iteration of the Tyrannosaurus Rex version of Megatron. I would say that it's also something where you hear it and you immediately think Beast Wars, and you probably immediately think David K. It might be, an example of a catchphrase that has not only transcended the character and transcended the fiction, but it now gets applied to the voice actor himself. If there's one line, one word that you want to hear David Kaye say, it's that iconic yes. How can you deny it? That it's a catchphrase for him, and for Beast Wars. For that reason, it took the number 2 slot. Number 1 is one that was bound to be on this list. It had to be on this list somewhere. And as you'll see, a lot of the same sort of explanations and justifications that fans gave for voting for yes for number 2 really also apply here, because it's something that's been said over and over and over by a few characters, but one in particular, and it was popularized all the way back in G1 by an iconic voice actor. Of course, I'm talking about Autobots. Transform and Roll Out by Optimus Prime. And while it's been said by many versions of Optimus Prime, while it's been said even in G1 by different characters, I'm sure Jazz uttered it, I'm pretty sure Ironhide uttered it, we all know that when we hear Autobots transform and roll out, that we immediately think Optimus Prime, and I'm willing to bet most people, maybe not all, but most people probably either associate it with a version of Optimus Prime voiced by Peter Cullen, possibly a version of Optimus Prime voiced by Gary Chalk. But I think when we hear Autobots transform and roll out, we all hear Peter Cullen in our head. Much like fans voted for yes and associated it with Beast Wars, with Megatron, and with David Kaye, fans that voted for this said it had to be there. Some people that voted for it said, as said by Optimus Prime, as said by Peter Cullen. Autobots Transform and Rollout identifies G1 Transformers, it identifies the Autobots, it identifies Optimus Prime, and it identifies the iconic Peter Cullen himself. How can you argue with it? Top spot. Let's roll out. Took number 1. And there you go, 10 down to 1 once again, and you know what? I mean, we could easily have a top 50 list of this. Some of the other ones that got fantastic votes as well. Let's see, such heroic nonsense. You hear it, you know it's Megatron. What about Thinking and Whining, Do Not Mix? What about... yes, my queen, I already mentioned that. Ba weep, gra na weep, ninny bang. Of course, the universal greeting. I'm surprised that that didn't get more votes than it did. I love this. Predacons Terrorize, as well as Decepticons Retreat, both got the same number of votes. The Transformers noise, the transformation noise, that we all mimicked, we all know it. I'm pretty sure it's trademarked, it's iconic. What else do we have here? Wreck and Rule, the Call of the Wreckers being another one. Starscream, You're an Idiot, or You're an Idiot Starscream, or Starscream, You Fool. Or just yelling Starscream by Megatron. One shall stand and one shall fall. I thought that that was going to get more votes than it did. If you're gonna ride, ride with style. Of course, said by Hot Rod when he's being a ride for Daniel. Decepticons Scramble, said in G1 right at the beginning. Burn Maximal Scum, another good one. What else did we have here? Man, there are so many of these good ones. So many of these good ones. The Me Grimlock. Me Grimlock Kick Butt. That was another good one. When he attacks Unicron and literally does just that. What else do we have here? You turbo revving young punk. You hear it? You know it's Cup. Right? I like this one. R.I.D. Sideburn when he says, I wouldn't want to fuse with you guys anyway. Even though I think he wanted to fuse with those guys. What else do we have here? Oh, Skids. The Skid with a Z. I refuse to wear pants and should... sorry. I refuse to wear pants and shouldn't be alone in this. Let's see. What else do we have? It Never Ends. course, talking about the war, right? Decepticons forever. Decepticons transform and rise up. That's such a good one. Really popularized by animated. Such a good one. What about... Yeah, said by Galvatron many times in season 3. Damn it, open, when Ultra Magnus is trying to open the Matrix. Me, Grimlock, want to munch metal. That's another good one, right? The munching metal one. Surprisingly, the cesium, salami, and beryllium bologna as a Dinobot's catchphrase didn't get any votes. Bam! Pow! Kazowie! For Warpath, of course. And this one, though it got some votes, I'm shocked that it didn't make the list, it didn't make the honorable mentions. More than meets the eye. It is something that's been said by characters in reference to each other. I mean, even in the live action movies, Sam says it, Optimus Prime says it about humanity. But it's also like the tagline and the catchphrase for Transformers itself. Shocked it didn't make the list. Let me know if your favorites made it or not. So many great catchphrases, so few spots. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and especially don't forget that you right there, somehow, some way, each and every single day, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either Thursday nights at the live streams, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.